he wants to coach, and he's going to coach in 2025. All right, welcome in. It's the Breer Report for December the 6th. Week 14 is underway, and we are off to a rolling start. I'm here in Detroit, where I was for the big Lions-Packers showdown on Thursday Night Football. It did not disappoint. The Lions win in incredible fashion, 34-31. Detroit looks like the best team in football. They've won 11 games in a row. That's a first in franchise history. They're up to 12 wins in consecutive years. They've never had back-to-back years like that. And they now maintain the inside track towards home field advantage through the NFC playoffs, which could be significant because of how well the Eagles are playing. And they've got the Buffalo Bills coming in just 9 days to Ford Field. So, my biggest takeaway from this game is sort of the resilience of the Lions and how Dan Campbell every week is coaching his team to what it is that particular week. And I think that's where the fourth down decisions came in. The Lions players were told during the week that they were going to be very aggressive on fourth down. I think part of that is protecting the defense. Part of it is leaning into the offense. They go for it on fourth down 5 times. Of course, maybe the most relevant one was the one at the end of the game where Dan Campbell makes that decision, which could have very easily gone the wrong way. And I think what's fascinating about that play, and we had Jared Goff on our set after the game. He said he got tripped or cleated by one of his offensive linemen, which is why he stumbled on that fourth down play. But that's not what's significant about it. Like when I saw that play happen, it happened sort of right in front of my eyes. You saw like my immediate thought was, okay, was he down? And yeah, he was down, but it didn't matter because no one was close enough to him to touch him. And he still had time to get that ball to David Montgomery, who was able to very easily pick up the first down. The offensive line answered the call in that situation, and they did so without their left tackle. Taylor Decker was out for this one. Dan Skipper was in. It's again another sign of strength against a pretty good Packer defense that they were able to take over and convert their fourth down in 5 tries over the course of the afternoon. So, or the night. I think I think just the act of going for it in that situation is a result of Dan Campbell's confidence in that offensive line group he's got and his confidence in his offense in general. It's also a function of what his team needed in the moment, which was the offense to carry the day. That defense is hurting. They have 13 guys on injured reserve on defense alone. That's 6 more than any other team in the league. The linebacker group was, depleted to the point where, so David Long is now like a mainstay for them at linebacker, and he's only been around for a couple weeks. Last night was his 3rd game as a Lion, and they were playing 2 other guys at linebacker in Quan Alexander and Jamal Adams, who's a safety but plays some nickel linebacker, like days after signing them. And the defensive line came in nicked up, and obviously they don't have Aiden Hutchinson, and not having Levi in there was a factor. And then in game dealing with the injury to Aleem McNeil, you're already without DJ Reader. So to be able to manage like that number of injuries, and they're going to get healthier, and most of those guys in the front 7 will be back, including Aiden Hutchinson, if they make it to the Super Bowl. I just think it's a remarkable feat, and it's a remarkable feat against a really good Green Bay team that in this circumstance was playing to keep their hope of a division title alive. Now they're 3 games back. They've been swept by the Lions. Basically, any shot they had of winning the division is over and done with. Both these teams only have 4 games left now. So the Packers had a lot on the line, played like they had a lot on the line, and the Lions, as depleted as they were still able to overcome and win in that circumstance. It's just an incredible story, an incredible team, incredible where they are, and it's going to be exciting to see where they go in the playoffs. Obviously, the Eagles are playing really well, and every win that the Lions get now counts, not just towards the division title. And the Vikings are still only a game back in the loss column, but also towards trying to secure home field advantage throughout the playoffs, which I think could be very, very significant in the NFC. All right, second topic for today is the big news from Thursday, which was Bill Belichick meeting with University of North Carolina officials. This was initially reported by Inside Carolina, credit to them, one of the websites that covers North Carolina athletics. We were able to confirm that. And, I talked to a whole bunch of people yesterday in and around this situation, and it's certainly fascinating to see where this one could go. I think a few things are at play here. First, I think this is reflective of where Bill Belichick is. Badly wanting to coach next year. I had somebody earlier this week say to me, whether it's high school, college, or pro, he wants to coach and he's going to coach in 2025. So he wants to get back to coaching. I think it's also an illustration of where some of the NFL jobs are. I don't think Bill is going to go in and want to reckon with somebody else's model. Like, I think if he's going into an NFL team, it's going to have to be like set up in a way that he's comfortable with. And that means he's not getting a team president. Being involved in football shoved down his throat means he's not going to inherit somebody else's general manager. That doesn't mean that he has to make every single personnel decision or that he's not willing to contract out some of the personnel decisions. But it does mean that at least the way I look at it, he's going to have people around him that he trusts, and he's going to have a model he believes in. And I think for him, looking around the landscape right now, the jobs that are open, comes the realization that these jobs are open for a reason, and sometimes the organizations that you'd be going to aren't perfect. It might be a long haul of a build, or you might have to, work with people that you aren't familiar with or you aren't comfortable with working with. And so, I think that the reality is if you want the setup the way you want it, then going to the college game is probably more likely to afford you that. So, I think it's sort of a balance. I think he still wants to coach in the NFL, but I think if the NFL couldn't afford him that balance, then college would be worth looking at. I also think that, with him and people around him have really studied the college model and taken a really hard look at it. There is some level of belief that the NFL, the skill set of an NFL team builder is important in college now and can really help. And the college model has moved closer to the NFL, with the NIL being like the salary cap and the transfer portal being like free agency. He might have a chance to build a winner faster in college than he could do it in the pros. And again, he would be able to get total control. So I still think the likelihood is that he's in the NFL in 2025. But I wouldn't rule out the idea of college, with the challenge here being that the timelines really don't match up. College jobs are open now, and the NFL hiring cycle doesn't start for another 5 weeks. So there's just like a lot of moving parts here, but certainly an intriguing one to watch, and um, a lot to consider if you're Belichick. Finally, on my third topic, the game I'm most excited for on Sunday is Chargers Chiefs. We know what the Chiefs are. We know how the Chiefs have struggled some over the last few weeks, really struggled against the Raiders. They pulled that one out in the end, lost a few weeks ago to the Bills. This Chiefs team is still finding its way, and I'm really interested to see where the Chargers are coming in. The run game didn't work as well for them last week without J.K. Dobbins, but they've really been able to build out Jim Harbaugh's vision, which is to take some of the burden off the quarterback, to run the ball really well, to be good on the lines of scrimmage, and to be dominant on defense. It's something he's had everywhere he goes, whether it's Stanford, San Francisco, Michigan. Like, this is the way he builds his teams. They're very old school in their build. And so you see a Chargers team that's got the sort of starting to have the sort of ethos that you've seen from Jim Harbaugh teams in the past. And now they get the chance to go and measure themselves against the Chiefs yet again. It's a fascinating matchup. It's the one that's at the top of the ledger for me. And again, like, this is a big stage for Justin Herbert. This is a big stage for the Chargers offensive line, having to block, Chris Jones and that Chiefs front. It's a great test for Chargers defense that is the best in the league in some categories. Jesse Minter's done a fantastic job there. Fascinating matchup. I think it's the one that everyone should have at the top of the list Sunday night. It's the one that I have at the top of my list for Sunday. It should be a great one. Appreciate you guys coming out as always. We'll have another Breer report to wrap up week 14. Can't believe we're already there into the last month of the season, coming on Tuesday. Enjoy the weekend. We'll see you guys then.